Welcome to day 8 of our Explainer series. I'm Liam, and today, Amelia and I are cracking the code on a pretty harsh reality. Most business analysts out there are writing requirements that, well, nobody really needs. Let me ask you something. Have you ever worked on a project that looked absolutely flawless on paper? I mean, picture this, right? The requirements are documented down to the very last detail. You've got stakeholders in a room, they're nodding, they're smiling, they're signing off on everything. Delivery is completely on track. But then the solution finally goes live and it just totally flops with the end users. It solved exactly what was asked for, sure, but absolutely not what was actually needed. We see this all the time, and it's exactly what we're diving into today. As Amelia loves to point out, that story highlights a really uncomfortable truth. She always says, well-written requirements do not guarantee a successful solution. And she's spot on. You can have the most beautifully formatted templates, you can act like a human tape recorder and capture every single word said in a meeting, but that doesn't mean the solution will actually work. Being a passive order taker, just waiting for decisions and churning out this massive mountain of documents, it's a massive trap. It's the exact trap that causes so many delivery teams to completely derail. So today, we're shifting the focus. We're moving away from volume and focusing entirely on value. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the trap of being busy. So it's incredibly easy for corporate delivery teams to just get completely caught up in the sheer administration of the job. We kind of trick ourselves into mistaking being busy for being effective. On one side, you have the busy trap. You're stuck on this requirement treadmill, templates are getting filled out, requirements look super detailed, and you're getting those fast sign-offs. It feels great, right? Fast and productive. But then reality hits. Confusion starts to build, rework inevitably follows, and the users, they end up incredibly frustrated because, yeah, you captured everything perfectly, but you entirely missed the actual underlying need. And the ultimate result of all that running on the treadmill? Zero. Literally zero. That is exactly how much value a BA creates when they successfully deliver a flawless solution to the completely wrong problem. Think about it. If you jump straight to a solution before really understanding the root cause, it's like building a house perfectly to the blueprint, but you build it facing the wrong way, on a swamp with absolutely no insulation. It might be exactly what was drawn up, but it's completely useless. Which brings us to Section 2, clear but wrong requirements. We've got to challenge this whole idea that just because a room full of stakeholders nods and agrees on a document, the project is somehow magically safe. Let me tell you a secret. Agreement does not equal understanding. I learned this the hard way once. We had what we thought were crystal clear requirements. Everyone gave the thumbs up, delivery started without a hitch, and then boom. 2 weeks into the build, we realized we were solving an entirely different problem than the business actually had. Why? Because the underlying assumptions were just never challenged. The biggest risk to your project isn't an unclear requirement. It's a confidently wrong one. I want you to really let the gravity of this sink in for a second. The next time you hear a BA say, or even if you catch yourself saying, I think the requirements are clear, I want you to pause. Just stop and ask yourself, are they actually clear or are they just unchallenged? Did we genuinely dig in and understand the problem, or did we just blindly accept the very first solution someone threw our way? To get past this, it requires a massive, massive mindset shift. You literally have to move away from passive capture, where you just sit back, wait for perfect inputs, and act like a stenographer documenting what's said. Instead, you have to embrace active challenge. You've got to push for understanding. You have to discover what is actually needed. If a stakeholder comes to you and says, hey, we need a new feature to improve customer experience, you don't just write that down and call it a day. You actively diagnose the missing clarity. You ask, are customers actually struggling because of a missing feature, or is the current user journey just a confusing mess? Okay, let's move on to Section 3, output versus outcome mindset. This is where we completely redefine what success actually looks like for business analysts. It's the ultimate showdown, value versus volume. Look at this definition here. Value is not what you build. It is the outcome it creates. Your job, our job, isn't to just document a mountain of requirements and move on. It's to deliver real, tangible value. Because at the end of the day, delivering features on time and on budget means absolutely nothing if the actual adoption of those features is practically zero. So we need to stop measuring success by feature delivered. Constantly asking, did we build it on time? Who cares? We need to start measuring success by problem solved. Did user behavior actually improve? Did customer effort reduce? Did support queries go down? If you just deliver the shiny new feature without actually solving the underlying problem, I'm sorry, but you haven't delivered value. So how do we actually make sure we're solving the real problem? Well, it's like a giant puzzle. We have to look at the 5 layers of requirements. When BAs jump to a solution way too quickly, we only capture the stated requirements, the stuff they actually say out loud, like, we need a new portal. But man, we miss the unstated ones, like, oh, by the way, it must work perfectly on mobile. We miss the assumed requirements, where they just magically believe it'll automatically integrate with their 10-year-old CRM. We miss the implied requirements, like needing real-time APIs. And honestly, most dangerously of all, we entirely miss the emotional and political requirements. These are the silent, hidden expectations. Like the fact that they really just want a new portal because their biggest competitor just launched a better one and they're terrified of falling behind. You absolutely have to dig in and validate the unsaid. All right, that brings us to section 4, the 3 critical questions. This right here, this is the absolute climax of this whole explainer. This is the core framework you absolutely must use before you document a single thing. Let's unpack these. Question 1, why is this needed? This simple question gets you past the immediate ask and forces the stakeholder to actually justify the business value. Question 2, and Amelia stresses this one all the time, what problem are we solving? This ensures you aren't just treating a symptom, but you're actually addressing the root cause. And finally, question 3, what happens if we do nothing? I love this one. It's incredibly powerful. It forces everyone in the room to honestly evaluate the actual impact and the real urgency of the request. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is this. If the answers to those 3 questions are not crystal clear, put the pen down. Step away from the keyboard. Do not write a single requirement. Seriously, stop. If you don't slow down right now to ask these questions, everything that follows, every single user story, every hour of technical build, it's all just going to be a symptom of a poorly defined root cause. Let's wrap this up with section 5, delivering real value today. Okay, time to shift gears. Let's talk about how you can actually apply this stuff immediately, like in your very next meeting. Here are your actionable steps. First up, ask just one extra why in every discussion. Just go one layer deeper than you normally would. Second, focus on understanding before you start documenting. Don't just stay in your lane, get out there and understand the prioritization decisions and the whole delivery flow. And third, challenge features that are not explicitly linked to a measurable outcome. Seriously, if it doesn't clearly add value, question it. And please, remember this. And this is a phrase Amelia and I use all the time. Clarity is not given. Clarity is created. Listen, no one is going to walk up to your desk and hand you a perfect set of requirements wrapped up in a neat little bow. It's just not going to happen. Stakeholders aren't the problem, the lack of clarity is. You have to step up, ask the hard questions, and build that clarity yourself. I want to leave you with this final thought. Nobody remembers the features you delivered. Let me say that again. Nobody remembers the features. They remember the outcomes you created. So ask yourself, are you just churning out a high volume of documents, or are you actually creating high value? Evaluate your own legacy at work. Do you want to be known for just capturing requirements, or do you want to be known for solving real problems? Start asking better questions and just watch your impact totally transform. Thanks for joining us for day 8 of this explainer. See you next time.